Sometimes it feels like luck just isn't on your side. One moment, everything is perfect. Then suddenly, you're in a fight for your life. But when the unthinkable happens, some people don't just survive. They defy every odd imaginable. From heart-stopping falls to freak accidents no one should walk away from, here are 15 people who survived the impossible and lived to tell the tale. Number 15. Greg Rasmussen. Greg Rasmussen is an animal conservationist who, in 2003, found himself face-to-face with death in the African wild. Flying a single-engine plane over Hwange National Park, Zimbabwe, strong winds snatched control from his hands, and he crashed into the plains below. With both legs shattered, Rasmussen crawled to a tree for shelter, but his problems were just beginning. His radio was broken, leaving him stranded, and soon, vultures began circling above. Worse, a stampede of elephants charged toward his wreckage, and later, the chilling growl of a lioness filled the air. Thinking fast, he beat the wreckage with a stick, scaring off predators through sheer determination. After a long night battling hunger, pain, and a hungry hyena, rescuers finally found him. 100 surgeries later, he survived, 3 inches shorter, but very much alive. Today, he still fights for conservation, proving that not even nature itself could take him down. Number 14. Sambora. Now let's just imagine, being wedged between 2 boulders, unable to move, scream, or escape, for 4 days. Well, it may sound like a twist from Dunes, but that was the reality 28-year-old Bora lived through in August 2018 while exploring the Cambodian jungle. Bora was searching for bat droppings, yes, really, to sell as fertilizer when his flashlight slipped into a crevice. Trying to retrieve it, he lost his balance and fell in after it, becoming completely trapped. For 4 agonizing days, he remained pinned between 2 giant rocks, with no food, no water, and no way out. His only hope was that someone would find him before the Angel of Death did. Thankfully, his worried brother raised the alarm, leading rescuers to his impossible location. After 200 people and 10 hours of rock cutting, Bora was finally freed. Exhausted but alive. His first priority? Recovering. His second? Never getting anywhere near that jungle again. Authorities have since banned climbing in the area for good reason. Number 13. Natalia Pasternak. A peaceful walk in the Siberian forest turned into a real-life horror movie for 55-year-old Natalia Pasternak and her 80-year-old friend, Valentina Gorodetskaya. That's why we avoid jungles. It was June 2015, and the two were out collecting birch sap, unaware they had just wandered into a predator's hunting ground. A huge brown bear suddenly appeared, first targeting Valentina's dog, before setting its sights on Natalia. In a desperate attempt to save her pal, Valentina fought off the beast with a stick before running for help, leaving Natalia alone with one of nature's deadliest killers. For an entire hour, the bear mauled her before assuming she was dead, burying her under leaves and dirt for a future meal. But fate had other plans. When police arrived, they saw movement beneath the soil and shot the bear on sight. Miraculously, Natalia survived with serious injuries but made a full recovery. Her first words after surviving: "Life is beautiful." Number 12. Heart in a spin. When doctors x-rayed a motorcycle crash victim, they couldn't find his heartbeat. Not because it stopped, but because his heart had rotated 90 degrees inside his chest. In 2014, a 48-year-old Italian man was involved in a violent motorcycle accident, breaking several ribs, puncturing his lungs, and rupturing his spleen. But the most shocking part? The force of the crash trapped air inside his chest cavity, pushing his entire heart to the right side of his body. Amazingly, he remained conscious the whole time. Doctors acted fast, draining the trapped air, and over 24 hours, his heart slowly shifted back into place. Despite the trauma, He made a full recovery with no lasting damage. Medical experts were baffled. Most people wouldn't survive half of these injuries, let alone a relocated heart. If luck had a Hall of Fame, this guy's face would be on the entrance. Number 11. Ewa Wisniewska. Paragliding might sound like an adrenaline rush, but for Ewa Wisniewska, it turned into a near-death experience straight out of a sci-fi movie. In February 2007, the 35-year-old professional paraglider was training for the Paragliding World Championships in Australia when she unknowingly flew beneath a developing storm cloud. Within seconds, she was sucked into the sky at 20 meters per second, rocketing upward into the storm's raging vortex. She ascended to 32,634 feet, higher than Mount Everest, all while being pummeled by tennis ball-sized hailstones and surrounded by flashes of lightning. At minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures, her body shut down and she blacked out mid-air. For 40 minutes, she drifted unconscious in the freezing void. By all logic, she should have died. But miraculously, she woke up mid-fall, regained control, and landed safely on a remote farm. Aside from severe frostbite, she was completely fine. Survival experts called it the equivalent of winning the lottery 10 times in a row. Honestly, we'd rather buy the ticket. Number 10. Lumberwhack. Trees are great. They give us oxygen, shade, and a lovely crunch in autumn. But sometimes they fight back. In 2017, Canadian tree feller Jeremy Cadot was chopping down a massive tree when he heard something you never want to hear: a deafening crack. Before he could react, the tree split vertically up the middle, something called a barber chair. It's one of the most dangerous things that can happen in logging because the tree doesn't just fall, it snaps in two and launches deadly splinters everywhere. Jeremy had a split second to move. By pure instinct and luck, he jumped the right way and dodged a death blow. Had he hesitated even a second, he would have been flattened. So yeah, trees, cool. But if you see one cracking mid-fall, run for your life. Number 9. Ron Hunt. It's not every day that you survive being impaled through the skull. But for Ron Hunt, that was just another Thursday. On August 15, 2003, Hunt was drilling above his head on a 6-foot ladder when it tipped over. As he fell, he instinctively threw the drill away. But not far enough. He landed face first onto the 18-inch drill bit, which pierced through his right eye and out the back of his skull. Somehow, he remained conscious. The drill miraculously pushed his brain aside instead of destroying it. At the hospital, doctors initially planned to cut it out, but instead, they unscrewed it. Yes, they literally twisted it out of his head. A month later, Hunt walked away with a fractured skull and one missing eye, but no brain damage. His survival was so baffling that even scientists compared it to the legendary Phineas Gage. Number 8. Truman Duncan. Some people survive accidents. Truman Duncan survived the impossible. In June 2006, while working at a rail yard in Texas, Truman slipped between two moving freight cars. For 20 agonizing seconds, he clung to the train, before the wheels tore straight through his pelvis, severing him in half. Instead of dying on the spot, Truman stayed awake, pulled out his phone, and calmly called 911. He then waited 45 minutes as first responders raced to find him. Doctors expected the worst, but somehow, his vital organs remained intact. His body had gone into shock, slowing his blood loss just enough to keep him alive. After 23 surgeries and 4 months in the hospital, Truman defied science, returning to work in a wheelchair at the same rail yard that nearly killed him. Some call him a miracle, but let's be real. This man is nothing short of superhuman. Number 7. Casey Wagner. They say lightning never strikes twice, but Casey Wagner learned the hard way that's a lie. So, never believe in anything. In October 2013, this 31-year-old dude was enjoying a muddy off-road event in Texas when dark clouds rolled in. Seeking shelter, he made a deadly mistake, standing under a tree. Before he even had time to react, a bolt of lightning hit him, sending thousands of volts through his body. As he collapsed, a second strike blasted him again, this time through his boots. Most people wouldn't live to tell the tale, but Casey did. A nearby nurse rushed to his side, keeping him awake until paramedics arrived. Shockingly, after just one night of observation, he was released with no serious injuries. The odds of being struck by lightning once? 1 in 750,000? Twice? Practically zero. But Casey walked away, proving that some people are just built differently. Safe to say, he'll never be caught under a tree during a storm again. Number 6. Phineas Gage. Phineas Gage didn't just survive an accident, he rewrote medical history. On September 13, 1848, while working as a railroad foreman in Vermont, Gage was packing explosive powder into a hole when his worst nightmare came true. The charge unexpectedly detonated, launching a 43-inch long iron rod straight through his cheek, brain, and skull before it landed 80 feet away. Any normal person would have died on the spot. But Gage, he walked to a nearby cart and told his co-worker what happened. Doctors were stunned. He was conscious, talking, and even remembered the accident. But soon, friends and family noticed something terrifying. His personality had completely changed. Once polite and hard-working, Gage became impulsive, aggressive, and unpredictable. Scientists now believe 11% of his brain's white matter was destroyed, permanently altering his ability to regulate emotions. Today, he's one of the most famous neuroscience cases ever, proving that sometimes surviving is just the beginning. Number 5. Christine McKenzie. Skydiving is already a nightmare scenario for many, but what if both parachutes failed? Well, it's pretty scary and creepy, but that's exactly what happened to 23-year-old Christine McKenzie in August 2004 during her 112th skydive. A seasoned skydiver, McKenzie had no fear as she jumped from 11,000 feet. She was a professional, but when she pulled her parachute, nothing happened. Trying not to panic, she deployed her emergency chute. Again, nothing. The lines had tangled. She plummeted toward the earth at full speed, with no way to slow down. But fate had one last trick up its sleeve. In a 1-in-a-million fluke, she crashed into a set of power lines, which absorbed the impact and saved her life. Doctors were stunned. All she had was a broken pelvis. Her instructor called it a miracle, and despite her brush with death, McKenzie vowed to skydive again, because apparently some people just don't know when to quit. Now let's move to Number 4. Anna Bogenholm. Freezing to death is usually a one-way trip, but Anna Bogenholm came back from it. In 1999, the 29-year-old Swedish surgeon was skiing in Norway's Kjolin mountain range when she lost control and fell into a frozen stream. A hole opened beneath her, swallowing her head first under 8 inches of ice. Trapped, she found a tiny air pocket and clung to life as her body temperature plummeted. After 40 minutes, her heart stopped. By the time rescuers pulled her out 80 minutes later, she had been clinically dead for 2 hours. Doctors refused to give up, slowly warming her blood 1 degree at a time. Miraculously, her heart restarted 24 hours later. It took over a year for Anna to walk again, but she fully recovered. Her case changed medical history, proving that extreme cold can pause death, a technique now used in life-saving hypothermia treatments. She didn't just survive, she rewrote science. Now, do you believe in miracles? Number 3. The Lucky Log Escape. Ever watched Final Destination and thought that would never happen in real life? Well, think again. In October 2019, a Georgia driver dropped his coffee and bent down to grab it. In that split second, His Nissan Xterra slammed into the back of a logging truck. What happened next was a scene straight out of a horror movie. 40 giant logs smashed through his windshield, impaling the car from front to back. By all logic, he should have been obliterated. But somehow, his seat was reclined just enough that the logs passed inches over his head. Firefighters took 15 minutes to see through the wreckage before finding him shaken but alive. His only injury? Minor bruises. This man didn't just cheat death, he outright ignored it. If anyone needs to buy a lottery ticket, it's him. We mean, come on. The odds of surviving a log impalement are practically zero. But he walked away with nothing but a crazy story to tell at barbecues. He is a lucky dude. Number 2. Rest in peace room. Toilets are supposed to flush, not explode. But in 2013, New Yorker Michel Pierre learned that the hard way. After finishing his business, he hit flush. But instead of water swirling down, his entire toilet detonated. Boom! The porcelain shattered into a poop grenade, sending hundreds of razor-sharp shards flying. The blast threw Michel across the bathroom, knocking him unconscious. When he woke up, he was soaked, injured, and utterly confused. Turns out the building's water had been shut off for plumbing work. When Michel flushed, the built-up pressure had nowhere to go, except outward, with explosive force. He was rushed to the hospital, where 30 stitches put him back together. And while his bathroom was obliterated, Michel lived to tell the tale. Number 1. Choc-splosion. A chocolate factory sounds like a dream job, right? Well, for Patricia Borges, it turned into an absolute nightmare. In April 2023, at a Pennsylvania chocolate factory, she noticed a gas smell and told her supervisor. Their response? Someone will handle it. Big mistake. Just 30 minutes later, the entire factory exploded. The blast set Patricia on fire, and as she ran, the floor collapsed beneath her. She plunged into a vat of liquid chocolate in the basement. The thick, syrupy chocolate put out the flames and saved her life, but with broken feet, she was trapped. Firefighters arrived but couldn't hear her screams. For hours, she clung to a floating pipe, waiting for rescue. Finally, as water from fire hoses rose high enough, she climbed out. Barely alive but determined, Patricia escaped. What is the moral of the story? Well, it is pretty simple. Always trust your gut, especially when it smells like gas. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.